You ready? You're a wolf chasing a rabbit, but the chase has just begun. You can run to the horizon, but you'll never catch the sun. Rabbit ran into the lion's den, and now the wolf is done. Now you're looking for your gun, and she said, run.
Run, run, table turning, now we see that you're the one. It ain't no fun. Run, 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 run,
It ain't no
fun.
You can run to the horizon, but you'll never catch the sun. Rabbit ran into the lion's den, and now the wolf is done.
When the rabbit's got the gun.
I told you.
What up, what up? Mike here. I am your creator, author, illustrator, etc. for all things Rabbit Comics. I'm really excited. This is our inaugural episode for the Department Files. I'm joined here by my beautiful co-host, La. What's up, La?
Hey.
How you doing?
I'm good. Are you
Yeah,
excited?
I'm really, really excited. Yeah, my inner nerd is doing a backflip right now.
Oh, yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
for sure. You excited?
Oh, yeah, definitely. As a huge comic book fan, especially DC and Marvel,
Yeah.
I'm excited. And now I'm officially a Rabbit Comics aficionado.
Hey.
So make sure you go and grab that. Copies are available on Amazon.
That's right.
And we have a great show for you today.
Yes, we do.
And I do have some questions for you.
You
want to
answer
answer
questions for me?
Yeah.
Oh, stuff. Well, before we go down the rabbit hole with the questions that you have for me, I also have some questions for you.
Oh, word?
Yes, for sure. But even before we do any of that, I want to just commemorate this moment. That is our first. And so we're going to take, obviously we talked about this off camera, but we're going to make some mimosas. Since it's the AM, it's probably not the AM anymore.
Real cute.
But you know what I'm saying? We're going to do it anyway. So I got some, they ain't paying us, we ain't sponsor. I was about to say, I got some. No, I don't.
No, we don't.
But I'm going to get it open. Hold on. One moment. And we're back. Movie magic, just like that. Cheers to the first episode.
Cheers.
That's really good. All right. So like I said, before we get into the weeds with Lala's questions down the rabbit hole, or even the questions that I have for her, I do want to just tell everybody kind of like what our format is going to be moving forward. So each episode is going to be dedicated to a different character. So La is going to go through the Department Files book. She's going to pick a character and at random. So if you want to follow along, you certainly can. But each episode will feature a different character. And just kind of like at random, she's going to pick a character and then ask me questions about, this character's lore, where I came up with the idea for these characters, etc., that sort of thing. This particular episode, though, we're going to focus just more on just the department in general, right? Like, just like, the department itself and what it even means. And so, but before we do any of that, I do want to ask you, what was like your introduction to fiction? Like, what were the movies or TV shows that you grew up with as a kid? What was your favorite comic book if you had one? Like essentially, like where did your love of fictional superheroes begin? I know that that's like 4 questions, but those are my questions.
Yeah. Well, I grew up super sheltered, so we were limited on what we could watch. But as far as superheroes, comics, there was no limit. So X-Men was something that I watched every day.
Yes.
And
that's like my favorite property.
Storm was my favorite character.
There you go.
Yeah. So superheroes is kind of like a way for me to dissociate myself from things that were going on around me.
Okay.
And I was always very active imagination. So
okay. So it was like an escape for you.
It was.
Yeah.
Still is. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I love it.
Yeah, that's really cool. I mean, so you said that you were sheltered, you weren't able to watch a lot of, how did you watch the X-Men?
That was the only thing that my parents
they allowed us to watch.
Yeah, we watched cartoons, but anything else.
Were there any cartoons that you weren't allowed to watch? No?
No.
So like, what about like The Simpsons?
No, I couldn't watch The Simpsons.
Guy,
yeah, no.
So I just remember
I didn't watch
my mom
until I was an adult.
Never let us watch The Simpsons. Like she was like, no. She thought Bart Simpson was ignorant and rude. And he is, but I mean, it's a funny show. But anyway, okay, cool. Well, thank you for that. Let me ask you where. So then I guess you would say that your love of fictional characters came about because of the X-Men.
And then always wishing I had some type of power.
So what superpower would you want?
Well, it would probably be Storm, like controlling the weather. definitely telekinesis. So I like Jean Grey and Gambit. I always wanted to like do card tricks and
You always want to do card tricks?
I just wanted to flick it and
Okay. So would you want like an amalgam of all three, or would you just want like if you had to pick one, it would be Storm?
if I had to pick one, it would be manipulation of weather. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Wherever I'm at, I can always control the weather according to my mood.
That's a pretty intense power set.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it is.
for sure.
Plus, having characters that I felt I could see myself in, like strong Black female characters. That was always important to me as a kid.
Yeah, for sure. Well, cool. Thanks for sharing.
Mm-hmm.
What up, what up? It's Mike. You already know I'm your creator, author, and illustrator for all things Rabbit Comics. But did you also know that I'm a designer? That's right, my brand Savu has been going strong and keeping you fly since 2005, which means this year is my 20th anniversary. Also, September marks my 1-year anniversary for the release of my first book, Rabbit. So, in order to mark these momentous occasions, I've gone ahead and made everything on my website 20% off for the rest of the year. That's right. All you have to do is go to shopsavu.com, pick out some stuff you like, and when you get to the register, you're going to put in code SAVU20. That's SAVOU 20 and get your discount. It's that easy. So what are you waiting for? Savu. For him, for her, for them, for all. Now back to the show.
All right, we're back. You ready to go down the rabbit hole?
I'm ready.
All right. So we're gonna go just dive into the department files and see what's what.
Okay.
I like how you use Dr. Amun Gamal, right?
Amun Gamal.
Gamal.
Uh-huh.
As the narrator of the department files.
Uh-huh.
You want to just give a little backstory on that character?
On Amun? Backstory on Amun. So I wanted an in-universe character that that possessed the ability. I needed a tech guy, basically. Mm-hmm. So, in any futuristic or like science fiction-y, property, you have to kind of like they're doing things, they're flying, they're doing all sorts of things that we can't do in reality. And so sometimes you do have to have a guy in the universe who's like, oh, if you press this button, the wings will pop out your back. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like that type of thing. And so I just needed a tech guy. And so I envisioned, he's sort of an amalgam of like Tony Stark and maybe a little bit of Batman, but also I wanted him to kind of be like a father figure almost. Mm-hmm. And so he kind of like, as you go through the department files of the book, and also I think he's mentioned in the first book too, he's kind of like the common thread between their technology, their suits, some of the what I call hard-like technology in the book.
He's the one responsible for ranking them as far as their powers as well.
Right, him and his AI system that he's come up with, Crystal, which is Cognitive Response System Training Artificial Language. Mm-hmm. I think that's right. If not, fact check me. You need the book to fact check me, so go buy it. But so him, he's basically just like like anytime in the universe where there's like, oh, we have this suit and it reflects light in a way that renders the wearer invisible. He created it, or he created the tech that somebody else stole and then like repurposed and then created it. Yeah, so that's how I came up with the Moon. And he's kind of like he's almost like the I don't want to. Excuse me, I have the hiccups. I don't want to say keystone piece, but he almost is that, because he's the bridge between the two, because he used to work for the department and now he doesn't.
So he's the bridge between the department and the resistance.
As far as the technology is concerned. Gotcha. Rabbit also used to work for the department. There's several characters who did, but specifically Amun, because he's a doctor and he's a physicist, and he has a Nobel Prize. He holds all of these credentials. He's kind of like my guy to like, oh, like he's the one that explain. It almost, if I'm being like layman's terms, it's my like explaining away guy. It's like, oh, how does that happen? Oh, Amun created it, and we don't know how because he's just so smart.
Right.
That's how that came out.
Okay, cool. Mm-hmm. And how did you come up with the concept of the measuring system, the ranking system you have for their powers.
So yeah, so basically, Amun, again, a callback to Amun. He's my tech guy. So the ranking system, it just made sense. He was already compiling the data on the superpowered beings while he was working for the department at the request or demand of Cyrus.
Mhm.
And so because he was already getting the data, it just made sense that he would come up with a system to kind of like rank or rate power sets as in terms of like, okay, where do these people fall? Are they more powerful than Cyrus? Or are they less powerful than Cyrus? Like you can lift a car, but can you lift 2 cars? Can you lift 3 cars?
Right.
You shoot fire, you shoot electricity, but where do those, what's the scale here? And so, and so that's how, in my mind, that's how Moon would have done it. In real life, I just wanted the reader to have some sort of reference point, right? So
Mhm.
because I'm a huge X-Men fan, just like yourself, and so I think about like the way that they classify their mutants, and I just wanted a classification system that folks could almost be like a jumping off point where it's like, okay, could this character conceivably beat this other character? And if so, why? And I just think it's cool that you have a character who maybe doesn't rank as high as another character in one category, but could still potentially best that character because they rank higher in some other category. So
Yeah.
it just, to me, it was just like it's a way to categorize and explain their power as opposed to just being, oh, he shoots lightning and then that's it.
Right.
Yeah.
And I love villains, but my favorite villains are on DC.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So,
Who? Like who?
well, of course, Joker. He's top
Okay.
notch as
Uh
far as
huh.
villains, and then I always love my female characters, so Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy, Vigilante,
So
or
Batman specific villains.
yes.
Okay.
Hmm.
Uh huh.
And so I like what you did with the two different sets of characters that you have: the Resistance
Uh.
and then the Founding Seven.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to explain like what your inspiration was behind having those two sets of dynamic characters.
Well, I guess my inspiration would be that we need a protagonist and antagonist, and so when I was so Rabbit, the book itself, the whole concept of like this whole universe came to me because I was writing a novel. This is true. Not many people know this, but I was writing an actual like a just a like a book, like no pictures,
Mm-hmm.
and I got up to chapter 5, and I just wasn't. It just wasn't. I, I couldn't figure out the next like what to do with it next, and so I just kind of let it sit for a little bit, years actually. And when I finally came back to it, it it just sort of clicked like, oh, what if this is a comic book and not
Mm-hmm.
just a novel? Like, what if it's a graphic novel? Because I've always been able to draw. So the whole first book, all the way up to the point where
Let's plug that real quick though. The fact
okay,
that you not only wrote these comics, but you illustrated all of them yourself. Like
yes,
to me, for me, that's amazing. Like I love anybody that does. I mean, you always see them have the author and then they have their own
sure, yeah,
illustrator,
not
but
everybody, yeah, yeah. Well, because I mean, and honestly, it's just bred out of necessity, right? Like I don't know a team of illustrators. I don't know colors. I didn't even know how to create a comic book. I just literally just Googled like how to start a comic book, like what apps are good for comic book users, and I just Googled kind of like what were the ones that the Marvel illustrators used, and then I went and bought it, and then I figured like, okay, well, what pens did they use? Because all of this is digital, so I figured out like what pens. I bought an iPad, and so I just kind of it was like step by step, and I just kind of really just self taught myself how to do it, like even down to like formatting the comic book and like breaking the panels, and I didn't know how to do any of that, the lettering, the bubbles. I just taught
mm-hmm.
myself, and so um, that what I was so that's where it started, right? And so the idea of having like a protagonist and an antagonist, that's just kind of like in storytelling, that's just a generalized thing. And so that came easy. What didn't come easy was like trying to figure out the why for the villains,
Mm-hmm.
because to me it's important that villains aren't just like, it's hot in here, sorry, we're in my plant room, my shoe room, and it's just like I'm like baking in this hoodie. But anyway, so it's important to me that the villains aren't pointless.
Mm-hmm.
They have to have a point. Like there has to, it's like okay, like you you just want to rob a bank. Like what? Why? Like what's your story? Are you broke? Are
Cohesive
you know what I
backstory.
mean? Like there has to be
Mm-hmm.
like what fuels you. And so what's really cool about the department is that they don't consider themselves villains.
Mm-hmm.
That's not how they see themselves. They
Right.
see themselves as like these sort of higher evolved beings who are like saviors to the human race, right?
The tertiaries.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And so they just don't see themselves that way. And so they're villains because of their acts and because of the things that they do. But also, villain is a loose title because Rabbit also used to work for the department.
Right.
So it's like then he becomes then it just kind of blurs the line between like good and bad and whatever. Now I'm getting real wordy, but the point is the first book, all the way up to the point where he's getting out of the car and like drives away. That whole first is like a condensed version of the first chapter of the novel that I was writing,
Mm-hmm.
and that's how it came to be. And from there, it was just like, okay, well, I already had the department down. I had that name, the department, because that was written in the book. I had Rabbit and I had Genesis already because she's in the book. She was under a different name, but I made her real name the name that she is in the novel. And I already had Rabbit's real name, but everything else came after I decided to make a comic. I was like, okay, well, what would be visually appealing? And then that's where Cyrus came to be. And so it was just like, he's just this being that's just like seemingly all powerful. He has political aspirations, and he is just somebody that wants to essentially just take over. But he thinks he's doing it for the betterment of humanity. Actually, probably Cyrus. He probably knows he's a villain, but the others in the department, I think that they think that they're on the right side of history,
Mm-hmm.
and that kind of like a by any means necessary
Mm-hmm.
pieces of Malcolm X a little bit, but like really just more so about like we know what's best for you, and anybody that fights against that is really
Stop.
just needs to be dealt with.
And then also, I want to know, since you have put so much into it as for like author and an illustrator, how much of your personality is put into the characters?
A lot of my personality is in these characters, like a lot. Rabbit looks like me. People
Yeah,
ask me all the time, like, "Oh, is
definitely.
that supposed to be you?" I'm like, "It's not supposed to be me. It never was." But when I drew him, and I was like thinking of a superhero, like obviously you want to see yourself as a superhero or not.
Obviously,
So,
yeah.
I mean, down to the gap, I gave him a gap, like which is really the thing that most people like. His hair doesn't look like me. Our body is not the same, but the brown skin, the brown eyes, that was very important that he had black features, thick lips, and he has a gap. So I mean that right there. And then some of the other characters, like for instance, Bishop, she has Goodnight Moon etched on her gun,
Mm.
and it's in the book. You can see it if you buy the book. It's in there. If you look, you'll see it. Because Goodnight Moon was one of my favorite stories growing up. When I was a little boy, my mom used to read us, bedtime stories, and I just remember Goodnight Moon, Good Night Cow, Good Night blah blah
Yeah,
blah. Like I don't know,
I love
I just
that.
really liked it, so
That's it.
I just wrote that in that Bishop liked it, and that she liked it so much that she has it etched in the back of her weapon. So if you look on the back of her gun that she's holding, she has Goodnight Moon etched on the back of her weapon. I also hate the color orange. Bishop hates the color orange. So, I infused a lot of myself. There's other characters. There's other callbacks to like me as a person. I can't think of any just off the top of my head right now outside of the one that I just told you. But I'm in here for sure. I'm in here. And yeah, a lot of myself is in these characters. Um, I can say that. So here's what I'll say: a lot of my likes. So I love X-Men.
Hmm.
I love um, certain characters in X-Men, and so certain characters for me, and I'll save this for when we get to that specific character or
Hmm.
which of those specific characters I'm referring to. But just in general, certain characters for me are kind of like mashups of my favorite X-Men characters. But
Yeah.
I'll save the specifics for when we actually talk about that character.
So I can't wait.
Yeah.
I have some favorites
You have some
for sure.
favorites?
Oh yeah. I may be biased because there is one that might be a
Well,
little like
there is
me.
one. We'll have to talk about that in a later episode.
Yeah.
But yeah, so okay, cool.
Well, thank you for bringing us into your world a little bit.
You're
I
welcome.
can't wait to do more episodes with
Yes,
you
I'm
and
really excited.
explain to the people and new fans coming in, so they can get a feel for
Yes,
your
this is.
personality and your artistry.
Thank you, thank you. I really appreciate that. Yeah, and I'm really excited too. And thanks for doing this with me. And yeah, like Law said, so we have a lot of episodes that we're gonna get to eventually because we're going to do an episode per character, and I have a lot of characters, so we're gonna have a lot of fun with this. And I guess just until next time, you can check out the book if you want to follow along in the department files. The book is available on Amazon. Everything will be linked. It'll either be up here or down here. It will definitely also be in the bio. And here's the thing, though. I didn't put page numbers because I was too focused on trying to make sure that all the words were spelled right and all the characters were drawn correctly and that everything was in place. And it was just like an oversight. I didn't put page numbers. So it is 104 pages. So you won't be able to like flip to like page 31. But we are only going to do one character per episode, and so then that way we'll just say like, oh, today's episode we're talking about this character. You'll just find that character in the book if you want to follow along. You can follow us both on Instagram. All of our links and everything should be like maybe if I put it like right, it'll be like right here. Boop. That's
and make
what it'll
sure
be.
you follow Department Files podcast on Instagram.
Yes. Thank you. This was really fun.
It was. Thank you for having me.
All right. Until next time. Lala likes to do this. Peace.